For the past 10 days, this American F-35 fighter jet, stationed at Kerala's Thiruvananthapuram International Airport, has neither been repaired nor is it fit to fly. Now, however, the F-35 issue appears to be escalating. In a hurry, the U.S. sent cargo planes to India to take the F-35 back, but India has flatly refused to return the F-35 to the U.S. Since then, this issue has directly surfaced between India and America. And following this news, significant frustration is clearly visible in the U.S. This American F-35B fighter jet is being used by the British Royal Navy, and India had previously offered two clear options to the British Royal Navy regarding it. However, at that time, no major action was taken on the matter. But now that India has started to expose its secrets one by one, the U.S. has become apprehensive. Seeing itself cornered, America suddenly sent its cargo ships to India to retrieve the F-35. But India has now refused to send it back, raising several significant points. Following this, the U.S. has become even more agitated, and India is clearly not going to return the F-35 to the U.S. right now. India has also made this clear from its side. Actually, the two options India had initially offered were very beneficial for India, the U.S., and the F-35 itself. But the British Royal Navy had flatly refused them, stating they did not need any help from India. However, now the tables have turned, and this situation is weighing heavily on both Britain and the U.S. In fact, India has started receiving all the necessary information. As India began to expose the F-35's true nature and secrets one by one, the U.S. has become frantic. The full news is that India had presented two options to Britain for its return. Also, why has India flatly refused to send the F-35 back to the U.S.? Because only with a very important and solid reason can a country refuse to return another country's fighter jet. So the solid reason is why India has not only refused to give the F-35 to the U.S., but also why clear frustration is now visible in both Britain and the U.S. In fact, India had offered several options to the British Royal Navy. India first provided refueling facilities and suggested they could take it back as soon as possible. But after that, it stood in India for about 6 to 7 days. And despite this, its flight was not insured. And after this, a large team was sent to India by Britain, which failed to fix this F-35. After this, India gave two options to Britain. The first option was that the deficiencies in the F-35 should be resolved as soon as possible with the help of scientists from India's DRDO and HAL to prepare it for flight. Or India said that it would soon place the F-35 in a secure hangar in India, and they could take it whenever they deemed fit. But Britain flatly refused both options. Britain made it clear that they would not let India touch this F-35. They stated that Indian engineers should not even touch it. And with these words, Britain flatly refused. And now, when the news finally came out, this matter has escalated even further. In fact, ever since India suspected that the F-35 might have come to spy on something inside India, a cross-examination began. As you know, India found several pieces of evidence, and finally, India even cracked its stealth code. When India discovered several invisible devices on its surface, ranging from thermal imaging cameras to various other things, India's suspicion grew deeper as to whether it had come to spy on India. And as soon as this news reached the British Navy on one side and the U.S. on the other, the U.S. and the British Navy immediately began efforts to take it back. But by then, it was probably too late, and India had already obtained a lot of information, based on which it was able to prevent it from flying from its territory. Now, there's another major piece of news regarding this. India had also offered the option of keeping it in its secure hangar, but Britain flatly refused this too, saying they would keep it in the open sky because they do not trust India. They feared that India might scan it, reverse engineer it, and steal their technology, and that's why they acted this way. However, India had to deploy several security personnel and make proper security arrangements to protect this American F-35 at Thiruvananthapuram International Airport. And not only were arrangements made for this, but India also had to make all the arrangements to keep the fighter jet's pilot in a safe place. But now, India has flatly refused on this matter. What has India said? In fact, as soon as the U.S. got wind that India had started scrutinizing a lot of data regarding this, and in the cross-examination, the statements made by the pilot were also found to be incorrect. After this, India cross-examined it and found that almost all the stories told were false. First, the story of running out of fuel and all other stories being false led India to now flatly refuse its return. In fact, the U.S. thought that it would quickly take it back and get rid of this issue, and also prevent India from getting access to the data. But now, India has flatly refused to do so. India India has flatly refused to allow the C-17 Globemaster, sent by the U.S., to take this fighter jet back, stating that it cannot be taken back until India thoroughly investigates it. This means that India has now directly put a stop to it, and the U.S. has also directly entered this matter. Now, how did this happen? Why did it happen? And what did India find based on which it has flatly refused to send this F-35 back? This becomes most important because allegations cannot be made against anyone without concrete evidence. What India has found is now the most important thing to know. We want to inform you that India already suspected that its landing was intentionally orchestrated, but when the data came out, those figures were truly surprising. The claim of an emergency landing for this F-35 turned out to be an outright lie. Not only was it a lie, but the claim of running out of fuel also proved to be completely false. However, India already suspected this because, frankly, this American F-35 fighter jet is considered a fifth-generation world-class fighter jet. And if it doesn't have enough fuel to return to its ship, doesn't its algorithm provide this information? That's impossible. Even a normal car tells you how much petrol is left and how far it can go. So, didn't it know about the fuel? However, the suspicion started right there. But when India began to investigate the F-35, things became even clearer. Firstly, the statement given by the pilot clearly stated that he was sent on a mission. The pilot not only cooperated, but also inadvertently revealed many secrets. After this, the statement issued by the British Navy further clarified and confirmed the matter. Although the U.S. tried its best to suppress this entire matter, all its efforts failed when India discovered several types of secret equipment installed on its surface. Yes, and these secret pieces of equipment are playing the most important role in this whole matter now. In fact, let us tell you that secretly embedded within its surface are thermal detector cameras, radar sensors, radar jammer technology, as well as a high-resolution camera capable of capturing photos and videos of many things 360 degrees from one place. And along with this, the sonar radar present in it is also playing a very important role. In fact, all these technologies should be present in a reconnaissance aircraft. These are found in aircraft that scan an entire area, but the F-35 is an operational fighter jet. So, what is the meaning of having all this technology in it? As soon as India received this information, it has been scanning it. Now, India has made it clear that the American F-35 will not return from India until we scan all its data. Along with that, it has now been decided to dismantle every single part of it. This means that India will now open every part of it. Not only will it open them, but they will be inspected minutely. And only when everything is clear and unambiguous in the investigation will it be returned. Otherwise, India is not going to return it to the U.S. right now. And as soon as this information was received, the U.S. has also started to show urgency. The U.S. believes that the F-35 should be removed from India as soon as possible because 2 days ago, the U.S. had already stated that the British Royal Navy should send its own cargo aircraft to retrieve this F-35 from India. But when the British Royal Navy could not do so, the U.S. itself took a very big step in this regard. In fact, the U.S. considers it its very advanced fighter jet, and the U.S. was trying to do something else under its guise. In fact, the U.S. is telling the whole world that if it keeps it in India, India will reverse engineer it and steal their technology. But it also knows that India will not do that. And at the same time, the U.S. is afraid that the data currently present inside it might be extracted by India. And if India finds out about it, its entire planning will be ruined. And that is why the U.S. has made it clear that efforts will now be made to take it away soon. But now, America's will has not prevailed before India. And in the midst of this entire incident, America's C-17 Globemaster, which is America's largest cargo aircraft, is having to return empty-handed. And now this matter will escalate once again because India has flatly refused, and this news has now reached the U.S. So now the U.S. will definitely intervene in this matter. Or you could say direct talks between the U.S. and India are about to begin here. Now the British Royal Navy, i.e. Britain, is likely to be sidestepped in this matter because until now it was believed that if it was being used by the British Navy and its pilot was using it, then all these things were being done by the British Navy. But the truth that has come out, the data India has received, the information India has received, all clearly indicate that not Britain, but the U.S. has a direct hand behind this. And now it remains to be seen how India scans its data. Not only will it scan it, but its cockpit storage system will also be investigated. And what information emerges from its storage system will also be very crucial amidst this entire incident. Because if anything is found from it that is considered highly sensitive data, then India is now going to appeal directly on this. And India is not going to release this American F-35 until then. It will be thoroughly investigated. Not only investigated, but India is also continuously cross-examining it. What do you think? Please let us know by writing in the comment box. Also, like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe and also press the bell icon. Jai Hind, friends.